This is the 2025 Porsche Taycan. Is it the EV sedan king? Hey everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. I hope you're having a great day. We're back at Porsche Shreveport today. If you want to know more about this model, check out the link down in the description of the video. The overall look definitely tells you this is a Porsche. It looks better, in my personal opinion, than any other EV sedan out there. But tell me what your thoughts are on that subject. When it comes to our lighting, we get a nice look here from a little bit further away. Full LED lighting. We're going to have the LED daytime running lights, the LED headlights, even your LED turn signals. I don't have those on right now, but they are LED. You're going to have the active air curtains that allow air to flow through the front end. Hopefully you can see the daylight nicely right here from this angle. And typical Porsche aerodynamics to help not only with the overall look, but the overall functionality. Everything here has a purpose. You can see your front camera right there. Porsche badging on the hood. And something that I like here that you don't see with a lot of EVs out there is that you're going to have a charge port not only here on the driver's side, but also on the passenger side. That's something I think more EVs should have. And these are the 20-inch wheels, intended again for aerodynamic purposes. But the big thing here is that unlike some other manufacturers of EVs out there, they don't look gaudy. And for those that wanted to see the turn signal indicators in action here on the front end, there they are. When it comes to our side view mirrors, they're going to be heated and power adjustable. We'll also find that they are also going to be power folding. You have all of your functionality here for that function. As far as that goes, let's hit the button and fold those in for you so you can see the power folding function. You can see your blind spot monitoring that's built in right there on the left-hand side of the mirror. We'll have a panoramic sunroof. Here on the rear, we also have full LED lighting with our taillights and our turn signal indicators. And I like that you have the lighting that goes all the way across. There is no break in that. Overall, a very clean look with the body lines. Here is your remote for the Taycan. Lock, unlock. You can open your front trunk, your rear trunk. You can see that it is in the shape of a Porsche, and there is your Porsche crest. Now, there are multiple ways to open the front trunk, including the button on the remote. There's a button on the interior, or you can come right here and just run your hand like that. Let's see if I can get it to work for me. There we go. And it opens right up. Just one of the many features here. Now, you only have 4 cubic feet worth of cargo capacity, but you know what? That works. A little bit of additional space compared to what we would have otherwise. And if you need to fill up with some windshield washer fluid, there's your reservoir. You can gain access to your 14.3 cubic feet with the button if you want to use that, among a couple of other features that will allow you to open your trunk area. And to maximize that, you can lower your seat backs flat, as you can see I have done. Just as was the case with the front trunk, there are multiple ways to open this rear trunk, including the kick feature underneath the bumper right there. You can just kick your foot and it will open. There's the button on the remote, the button on the interior, and the button right here that you can push to close everything up. We're going to push the button right here. Now that button on the right will not only close the trunk, but also lock the interior. Horsepower comes in at 429, a very strong number, and 309 pounds-feet of torque. Let me show you how easy it is to gain access to your charging ports. We're just going to swipe our hand underneath right there. Here is the charge port on the driver's side, and then the charge port on the passenger side works the same way. For those who want to see the window sticker, here is the window sticker. I know a lot of you ask about that. How about your MPGEs? We're looking at 94 city, 90 highway, 92 combined and 37 kilowatt hours per every 100 miles driven. On a single charge, you should be able to drive about 318 miles. When the Taycan is locked, you will find the flush-mounted door handles. When you are ready to get in, you push the button on the remote and they pop out like that. And all 4 doors have the soft close feature where you close them just a little bit like that, and the door will finish everything up on its own. The back seat area provides a lot of space for your back seat passengers. We have the nice large armrest right here and the door bins. We'll find our rear air conditioning vents here on the back of the center console. And we also have a couple of things we can talk about here. Number one, we have the fold-out armrest with the cup holders built in. It would be nice to see this maybe be a little bit wider. because there's not a lot of armrest space if there are cups or bottles in this area. Although I do like the vertical design like this as opposed to being parallel to one another like this, because it can always be used as an armrest, but a little bit of extra width, in my opinion, would be useful. And right up here, there is a release. If you put your hand right up there, you'll feel a release. You pull on that, and you can pull this area down and create a pass-through. There is also the nice, large panoramic sunroof. It is tinted, quite deeply tinted. It doesn't feel too bad in here. It's had the sun beating down on the interior for quite a while I've been working on filming up to this stage, and it feels pretty good in here, even with that being the case. No shade. It's one of the reasons I bring that point up. So for those of you who might be wondering about that, there is the answer to that question. I'm curious, if you own a Taycan, what has your experience been where this is concerned with no power shade to block the sun out when you want to do so? You may have noticed I didn't say a word about connectivity for your rear seat passengers. Well, it is here, but I wanted to be able to show you from the proper angle. You can see it right there under the seat area. Kind of an interesting placement. Tell me what you think about that. The driver and the passenger seats are fully adjustable and both feature lumbar support and the thigh extension here in the front. That's what this front button is for. And I don't know how well you can see that moving back and forth. I'm going to move that all the way up. Hopefully that shows up on the screen so that you know that it is there. We'll also find the Bose premium audio system. Plenty of room at the armrest and the door bins. Seat memory also here. For the passenger side, that means you know you're going to have these same features on the driver's side. And I apologize that we have a little bit of a glare here. Just one of those things we have to deal with, but I will do my best to show you the passenger screen that is essentially going to give you a lot of the same things you can see on the center screen and the driver's display. As you can see, you've got your digital speedometer right here and other details about the vehicle. You can go in and see navigation right there, even set that up if they want to. They can go in with audio, make adjustments there, and also pair a smartphone. There's a lot going on here with this screen, but what's interesting is this. From the driver's perspective, you cannot see the passenger screen. That's meant to avoid a distraction, but I'll move over here and give you the passenger's perspective so you can see that it is indeed on. The sticker price is $122,735. Now, if you compare this to, say, a Tesla, one thing is for sure. You might pay a little bit more, but you're going to have much better materials. Tesla known for having some fairly cheap materials in the interior of their vehicles. I don't mean that as a knock on Tesla. It's just reality. Here's what we're going to have on the driver's side door. All of your controls for your mirrors. And again, seat memory, lock and unlock. Now, when you hop inside, it's automatically, the vehicle will come on, but you can turn it off or on with this button. And you can see the driver's display is here. If you want to see how that looks, you can bring up your navigation. There is also a head-up display. And to control your headlights, your taillights, turn everything on and off, here is what you're going to have. Ultimately, it's going to be on the screen itself. Now, when we do that, you're going to notice that the map goes into night mode. It's going to have that darker look to it, make it easier to see so it doesn't overwhelm the driver. And we can turn our lights on, off. We can just leave them set to auto, which is probably the best thing to do. Your shifter is located right here. To go into drive, we push that down like that. You can see that we are now in drive. And to go into reverse, we flip it up like that or push it up like that. And you'll see all of the different cameras show up on the center screen. And there are a lot of different views here depending on what you need to see and where you need to see. We can go to every single view. Let's go right here and see what's going on with the front. You also have your front view camera. And we have a couple more views, but you pretty much know what all is there based on what we're seeing. To go back into park, we push the button right there. We'll find your turn signal indicator over here on the left-hand side of the steering wheel. Nothing out of the ordinary. Everything for your windshield wipers will be right there, and your steering wheel mounted controls. Something that is very important, our drive modes. There's a number of ways you can go through your drive modes depending on what you want to do, but you can see what they are. You have range, you will have normal, and you'll have sport. I definitely will drive in sport mode during the test drive, something that will make it more enjoyable in my opinion than anything else. But if you own a Taycan, you likely don't want to do that too often because you're going to use up more charge capacity for your battery than you would otherwise. And you can see Android Auto right here. We'll scroll like that. There is Apple CarPlay and some of our other features and functionality here. You can see your navigation can come up right there if you want it to. We can also have that on the driver's display as you saw. We can go here to climate. Now there's a few different ways to adjust that. You can also come right down here to the dedicated screen. What do you think about that? Would you like to have physical buttons? I know a lot of people would rather have that. You have your heated and ventilated seats. I'm going to turn that on right there. And these do put out, let's see if you can hear that. I don't know if you can hear that extra sound of air blowing, but that is the ventilated seats that you can hear. We can also go into air quality. Quite a few different things you can change here as well, depending on what it is you want to do. And then we can go back home and take a look at a few other features that we have. We'll go right here to vehicle. Now, depending on what you want to do with your drive modes, you can actually go into different aspects of the vehicle and change those modes. You can see what you have with your drive mode right there. We can also go into our chassis. Now you'll have sport mode, you'll have sport plus, or you can go with normal. It just depends on what you want to do. You can also change the level of the vehicle. You have lift lowered, you have it set to normal as it is right now, also low. So there's a few different things you can do. How about assistance? If you're wondering about your assistance, you can go in here and see what all we have with our driving aids. There's actually quite a bit here. I'm not going to talk about every single one. I'm just going to scroll through and show you what we have as far as that is going. Your trip mode right here for all those details that you might want to know about. And how about comfort? Well, there is a lot going on here. You have your ambient lighting, driver's seat, passenger seat, and comfort on entry. If you want to turn that on or off, you can do that. And then you can adjust the passenger seat right here. So if you would like to do that, you can. It just depends on the situation, what you're wanting to do, and maybe what other people want you to do. You also have the gear icon right there that lets you go into settings just like this, depending on if you need to do manual cleaning position for your rear spoiler, and it's currently retracted, but if we go in here, we can extend that out if we want to. And for convenience, you'll also find the pass-through here underneath this area of the center console. Not very big, but it is nice to see a little bit of additional storage space. We'll find our Taycan logo here, our cup holders, and let's look inside of the center console. Not a ridiculous amount of space, but there is some space there. Now, if you need a little bit more space than what we saw with the center console, you also have the option of taking advantage of the glove box. And I don't know how good of a view I can give you with the connectivity, but it's located at the front part of the center console. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that there are multiple ways to open the front and rear trunks, and here is one of those options right here. When we push on that, that allows us to pop that area open. You can see that it's open. We can also open our rear trunk if we want to do that, and we can also close that back down. And let me show you a little trick to closing the trunk down. You're going to have to hold that button down. You'll actually hear the beeps if it's quiet enough. Don't know if you can hear that right now, but you can see that it's now closed. There are also additional ways to open your charge ports, which would be these two options. One more thing I wanted to give you a sampling of is the Bose surround sound system that's here in the Taycan. One thing's for sure, my lapel mic doesn't do it justice, but I hope it gives you a good enough idea for those of you who ask for me to do this in my videos. We'll try and keep that brief, but I hope that satisfies those who wanted to hear the audio. And here we go on the test drive. Yes, I am driving in sport mode. Thing I like here is that being that this is an EV, we don't have to worry about a break-in period, and so I can really step on it and have a little bit of fun. It does not take any time to get up to speed here. Boy, I tell you what, we are getting down the road in a hurry. A lot of fun to drive, but also a very practical vehicle at the same time. Comfortable ride quality. These 14-way power adjustable seats for the driver and the passenger are going to allow for a very enjoyable experience on long road trips. But here is what I want to do. We can test launch mode here and it won't hurt anything because of the fact that, well, it's an EV. So we mat the brake, put the pedal down, and take off. That's pretty impressive. Without the sound of the engine, believe it or not, it takes away from the experience a little bit, at least in my personal opinion. It's just more psychological than anything else. But it is very interesting how not having the sound of the motor makes a difference in a situation like that. So we're going to make a quick U-turn here. You can get an idea of how tight the turning radius is, and we'll get back out here on the road. Great handling, as you can imagine. No problems at all. Very responsive steering and very responsive brakes. I like that it's not an overload. The brake pedal is easy to manage. I'm not pushing super hard to come to a stop as quickly as I could. We're not going to do that kind of a test today. But boy, it is so much fun to drive. And like I say, on the practical end of things, I've had some people tell me, when you have an EV, once you get those launches out of your system and stepping on the power pedal and feeling the acceleration a few times, it's not something you're trying to do on a regular basis. So you don't really have to worry about that too much from what I have been told. And the reason for that being, obviously you want to conserve your charge capacity as best as possible, but a very practical vehicle to drive, very enjoyable. And one thing I found is that with the air conditioning turned up high enough, you will have no trouble staying nice and cool, as far as having that panoramic sunroof that is basically open all the time, as far as the sunlight being able to come in during the day. I have the fan speed turned down to low right now. It is really warm in here, but that is because I want the sound quality to be really good for those of you watching the video. Everything here is easy to deal with as far as learning. The technology is not difficult to learn. The one thing I do wish was here, as I always do when you have the controls in the screen for the air conditioning, I would rather have physical controls where that is concerned. Tell me what your thoughts are where that particular subject lies. What do you think? Do you like the screen? Do you like the technology that's here? Or would you rather have the good old-fashioned physical controls? The head-up display is nice and bright. And one thing I did not mention earlier in the video is that you also have an electric adjustable steering wheel. It's power adjustable, I should say. Tilt and telescopically adjustable. With the seat and the steering wheel being as adjustable as they are, it doesn't matter your height. You will have no trouble being comfortable in the Taycan. Overall, while it is an expensive vehicle, those buying a Porsche, they're going to know that. Not a big deal. I know there are EVs out there on the market that are less expensive, but you really do get what you pay for when it comes to any Porsche model. And there it is, the 2025 Porsche Taycan. Is it the EV sedan king? If not, I'll tell you what, it's definitely one of the front runners where that is concerned. But tell me what your thoughts are when it comes to the EV sedan. Which do you think is best, and tell me why? I'm always curious to know what your thoughts are. I'd like to say a special thanks to my friends at Porsche Shreveport for loaning me this Taycan for the day so I could tell you all about it, and a special thanks to all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the like button. That's very helpful to me. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. And if you would, please share this video on your timelines on social media so other people can see it. If you'd like to learn about additional vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.